Hey, YouTube. I'm always forgetting stuff, and that's why I end up with part twos and stuff. But I also wanted to add with the fake Christian. A lot of y'all might say, "Oh, well, you should have known that he had a girlfriend." Listen, this man was with me every day. Remember, I said we were working together. After work, we spent time together. We spent a lot of time together. And when we weren't together, we were on the phone. Like he was attached to my hip type shit. And the same thing with Ivan. They hid these women really, really good, and they spent more time with me than even with Ivan. I wanted to add the compulsive liar. I remember asking her, like, how do you, I said, well, not trying to play you, but you must be with him overnight. Because, like, with me, I never spent the night with Ivan. Remember, I wasn't giving up the cookie. And with Ivan, I was really into him. That was another thing I wanted to add. I really liked Ivan, and I was like, you know what? I'm not trying to have hormones make decisions. Like, I was really feeling Ivan. Like, I wanted to be with him. So I wasn't just going to give it up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and then with Nolan, I didn't want to have sex with him right away either. But 6 months went by, he still was on some I'm celibate. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But with Ivan, of course, like I said, he was lying, and he would go weeks and months without talking to me. So of course I wasn't gonna sleep with him, and he was doing that. Bad enough I let him re-enter my life each and every time. But for the most part, when we were together, we were together. Like, especially with Nolan, like like I said, when he wasn't with me, we were on the phone. So I was like, well, when did he have time for this new chick? It was just so crazy. Like, he hit her very well. That's why I asked him, I'm like, when did she even come in the picture? Because Nolan, we didn't have sex, but what it was is sometimes my son would spend the night at my parents'. Like, if I had to work late at night, because when I worked at Yankee, I would always pick him up. And then by the time I started working at Barclays, if I got out of work late, I would just go home, and my son would be spending the night at my parents', right? So, and they would take him to school in the morning and stuff like that. That was only for a short time. And so when that was happening, Nolan came home with me, and we wouldn't be having sex, but that's how much we was like, we would come home together. He was with me, like, like we was like peaches and herb, like we was stuck like glue. So I'm like, how did he have time for this other chick? So people like, oh, it's red flags. The only red flag was like when he lied about having a daughter. Like, he didn't have a daughter and lied about it. That was weird. That was like the only red flag. And we wasn't getting along because two can't walk unless they agree. So he, judged me because I don't agree with certain scriptures. That was a red flag too, because if anything, you should try to explain it to me or have patience with me. Don't just write me off. But that just says something about him, not me. So I just wanted to add that, like, no, it's not like say for example, a lot of women, they know that they guys cheating because all of a sudden he not with them. He's spending more time with the other chick. But the other chick don't necessarily know, because if somebody's with you 24/7, they with you night and day, and when y'all not together, y'all on the phone, you're not thinking he has a girlfriend because he's with you. And Nolan, Nolan was never broke. Like, Nolan never had me pay for anything. Nolan was a perfect gentleman. He was a good kisser. He was tall. He was light-skinned. Just my type. First choice, not second choice. So, and I knew what he was working with, so I definitely wanted it. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to clear that up. Like, in that department, listen, that man was treat me like a princess. We went out, we spent a lot of time together. And I wanted to say that for me personally, I can't speak for no other woman. When you spend time with a man and you minus the sex, you're gonna fall in love. Like, I know for me, like, that's how you know you really care about somebody, when you minus the sex. Because the only thing to go by is emotion. The only thing to go by is time. And when you spend time with somebody, that's more precious than any sexual act. So I really fell in love with him, and just because we wasn't doing nothing, and just, we just got to explore each other. And that's what really made me, like, really fall hard, And I'm like, I know if I would have did it with him, maybe I wouldn't have fell as hard. And it sounds weird. Some of y'all might say, what the fuck is she? Yeah. That's why, like my parents, my father proposed. My mother was a virgin till she was married. They spent a lot of time together, minus the sex, right? Obviously, my father was in love. He proposed to her. So that's a perfect example of when you don't have sex with somebody, the love is even stronger. It makes that bond is like that was 2015 and this is 2023, and I don't miss him, but I remember it like it was yesterday, because the bond that we had was so strong. It was so strong. Like, that's why I would tell him. He got mad because I didn't want to tell people. I said, we work together. Don't nobody need to know. Nobody needs to know. And so he was like a little bothered by that. I'm like, nah, I don't want my business out there. So I would tell him, like, when we were walking, if we was like, because sometimes we would hang out before work because we enjoyed each other's company. That was my best friend. So, like, I would tell him, go through that way. I'm gonna go through this way. All right, we can't walk in together because So I was strategically, like, I was on it. I did not want anybody to pick up anything. When we had roll call, I made sure I stood on the other side, no eye contact. And he was like, why you treat me like that at work? I'm like, motherfuckers don't need to know. Like, what you mean? People are very smart. I did not want nobody to pick up anything, but he felt some type of way about that, and then started talking to some other girl in front of me. Very petty and immature. Very petty. So that was like a red flag, like, okay, I'm dealing with a little boy here. Because you should understand that, But yeah, that's what I wanted to add on. Those are my thoughts.